I'm ready.
Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back. Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back. I had to say it twice just in case.
No, you didn't.
We're back. It's Bootlist time. Yay, we just sent our buffs to everybody. So, hey, we do.
Yay, we finally did it 1 year later.
The first of our, hey, it wasn't that long. It was only like 2 months. The first of our 2 fantasy games that people can partake in. Because you can't partake in the actual fantasy game. But yeah, so Bootlist game. Alexa, when we did this, I just remembered. We did not. So we're going to put an example in the description here of this video. We forgot. We always put the description.
Good to know. I didn't know that.
No, it's totally fine. I just remembered as I was clicking this. So because I was about to give the rundown of how to do one, and I was like, you can also find an example because I'm used to saying that, but I totally forgot that that's what we do. So we're going to put an example
after this.
Yeah, you'll get an example later. You'll also get 2 examples during this podcast when we talk about it. But I know a lot of you are probably back for a second time, a third time, maybe a 4th or 5th time, because we have been doing this since Worlds Apart. So this could actually be your 6th time. Adam Klein won last year. He's also won another time, and he won prop bet. So he's won 3 of our games
and he won
over the past. But that's not as important, and he knows it. He tells us that all the time. He knows where his real money comes from, and it's from us. So
I think the best intro you guys have ever had was when you guys were interviewing Adam, and Will was like, the 2-time winner of the Survivor Specialist Bootlist game and winner of nothing else, Adam Klein. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, because it's true. I mean, like if you're looking at in the grand scheme of things that have happened in Adam's Survivor career, him winning a buff really probably is what got him onto the show. So I talked about that to them. I was like, hey, I've won a buff from these guys. Anyway, so the Bootlist game is simple. You're going to comment on this video. You're going to start at number 20. You're not going to do anything fancy. You're just going to put 20. You're going to put the person's name of who you think gets 20th place. Then 19 and who you think gets 19th, 18 who you think gets 18th, all the way down to number 1. Number 1 is who you think will be the winner. Number 20 is who you think will be booted first. And pretty much the way it's scored is if you have the person in 20th place that gets 20th place, it's 20 minus 20, which is 0. You want the least amount of points. This is golf. And
this is literally golf.
It's literally, you're literally playing golf. So if you have, for instance, Darnell in first place and he gets 18th, that was 17 points. So that's bad. You don't want that. And we did have a lot of people who had that season. That's why I bring it up, because Darnell was the most popular winner pick of Survivor Co-Wrong for a Bootlist game. And he got voted out first. So now you kind of get it. Now you kind of know where we're at. So we're going to run down our Bootlist. We have the non-advantage of not being able to wait around until right before the premiere to see like, hey, that promo might not have shown this guy, or hey, that promo might not have shown that guy. We don't have that. We just have to do it now. So we always don't finish first or second or third. We always finish near the bottom. But hey, that's what's fun about this. So don't copy our Bootlist if you actually want a chance to win a buff. But
last year, a lot of people copied us. People had Allie and Desi as their winner picks all over the place. And I don't know how much they were copying us. Maybe they were just popular picks. But I remember I was like, this is my first Bootlist. No one should be following my lead. Absolutely nobody.
I did a really good job of pitching Allie last year. Let's be honest.
And then one other I mean, I guess I'll bring this up at the end too. But if you guys have any repeats, like last year, I put in like almost 300 Bootlist. I typed up every single one. If you are doubling up on people or if you're missing someone, we're just not going to count you. Like, I'm not going to figure out which person you're missing and try to interpret where you're going to put them. Please just try to follow the cast, like just 1 through 20. Don't repeat anyone. Don't miss anyone. And then should we say the end date should be that Sunday leading in case of any premieres? Just have both games in on that Sunday.
I think we had said that our fantasy game, like midnight after we do our fantasy game podcast, is the end. That's your that's the last time you can do it. I think that's what we had said last time. I think I wrote that down. I actually did write it down. So I remember. So we said
you wrote something down, Phil. Look at you.
I did. I have a pen. But look, like I did my Bootlist game. I didn't double anybody up. I wrote down the lists of the tribes and I crossed everybody's name off as I went. So
that's really good.
Those of you, no, but I'm saying for those of you who want to enter, do something similar, because it really is hard for us when we're entering like 300 of them and it's like, oh, that person put Domenick 19 times. Like, no, don't do that.
Domenick's all over the place. And also we have 2 Stephanies, we have 2 Johnson last names, We have like a Bradley, a Brendan. We have a Donovan, which I'm sure everyone's going to mess up. We have a lot of like mix and match names. So like Phil said, write them down and cross them out, or like do them on your notes or something.
I will say,
shouldn't be that hard.
If I see Johnson, I'm assuming that's Stephanie Johnson. And if I see Stephanie, I'm assuming that's Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie Gonzalez in all of the intro videos has been labeled as Gonzalez. So like if you're listening to this video, I'm pretty sure you're going to put down Stephanie Gonzalez as Gonzalez. I just put them as Gonzalez and Johnson because it's easier.
Someone's going to put just 2 Stephanies and not do the last name, and I'm not going to write them down.
That's going to be way too difficult. Oh, I like how you're taking over writing down the boot list, and I get to do prop bets again. Thanks, Alexa, because prop bets are so much fun.
I would rather do the prop bets. The boot list, I remember I did them last year, and every time I saw like Ben or Lauren or Chrissy, like a name from that boot list, if I saw that in real life, I would get like PTSD. That's a terrible joke to make. I would get like
terrible,
really poorly timed, Alexa. That was but I would just see one of those names and be like, oh my God, I've seen this 400 times. So no, I'll take the prop bet. We'll switch it up.
I hear you. The one thing with the prop bet, when we get to the prop bet, that's the one where people double up names because they're like, oh, I'm going to put, Desiree for 3 different things and give her points. And it's like, no, don't do that. But we're focused on Bootlist today because I don't want to confuse anybody.
Bootlist today.
Bootlist. So this is different though, because normally by the time we're doing the Bootlist, we've already talked about the cast at least once because we started with the fantasy game. So normally we've picked our fantasy teams, who we like, and then we do the Bootlist. And I remember the one year that Will did the boot list, he just decided he was going to turn it into fan fiction. And it was super obnoxious. He's like, what? This is what's going to happen. He gave a whole rundown. It was, maybe some of you liked it. I didn't like having to deal with it. But hey, now though, you don't really know who we like aside from the cast assessment, which now we've had 2 weeks since then to really get back into this. So this is really your first taste at who we like this year. And that's normally not the case.
You also bring up a good point with that, because I was saying right before we went live that I was making my boot list and I was pretty unsure of where to put pretty much everyone. And last year I felt a decent amount of confidence with it. And I think it's because I still don't know the cast that well. There was a cast assessment. I've obviously read up on them. I read the Hollywood Reporter articles. I know everyone has kind of their favorite ones. I like the ET Canada videos because you actually get a taste of them, but I still don't feel like I know the whole cast yet, which is probably why I'm not very confident in mine. So don't copy off of me, everybody.
Well, I think it's interesting too. Normally we've talked about everybody, and I've said, I'm not taking that person because they're gonna be the first person booted. So I'm not gonna pick them. So going into who my 20, who my 19, who my 18 is. This was a little bit of fun though, because we've had a lot of people interacting with us. So I was like, okay,
we're getting lots of love.
Would Bradley acknowledges that he knows who I am and that we met each other. Would he want to acknowledge that if he got last place? So I don't think, so doing the complete overthinking, I'm like, maybe this has something to do with everything, but well,
we're at the point where over half the cast is following us or has interacted with us. So like I mentioned on our previous podcast, I hope that there's this group text where they're all just let's screw with Phil and Alexa. Let's just really mess them up here. That's the dream.
They all probably don't even like us. They're just hey, let's get their hopes up and then just
need more follows. # follow for follow.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway,
let's dive into it.
Let's dive into it. Alexa, ladies first. You go first.
I will go first. I actually feel like our boot list, at least at the bottom, will be similar. And then I think up top, we're probably gonna stray a little bit. For number 20, I have Chelsea, and I think we were both a little unsure of what to think of her during the cast assessment. And then I've read articles about her. I watched her ET Canada, and I just can't really get anything. And she's an EMT / dancer. I mean, those are 2 just really, really cool, very different, applicable, professions. But I still don't know her. I don't know what her personality is. I don't know what other personalities she'll get along with. And I think my quote unquote nail in the coffin for her was reading Andrea's post about her. Andrea flew out to Fiji and she's been Instagramming a picture with each of the castaways and kind of given this whole thing, this person seems so cool, yada, yada, yada. And what she said for Chelsea was pretty much just she's super mysterious. And if someone's mysterious, first of all, if Andrea thinks someone's mysterious and if Andrea can't get someone to talk to them, that's pretty tough because she is the most like sociable, likable person, and she could get anyone to talk to her. And if I'm on the beach and there's someone mysterious or just unsure or quiet, I'm not going to gravitate to them immediately. And I think that their tribe is probably going to lose first. So I think she's an easy number 1 for me. Or excuse me, number 20.
Yeah. Don't confuse everybody. Number 20. Number 20. I too have Chelsea at 20, and this is like really not unpredictable at all because that's exactly what I had said on my cast assessment. But maybe Andrea thought she was mysterious because she was told she was an EMT, and then maybe she was just like, I'm a dancer. Because I'm still not sold on this whole EMT thing. Because like I was even watching, I just watched Jeff Probst's cast assessment today. I just got around to it. I was like, I want to have it fresh in my head while I'm doing it. And he was like talking about Chelsea, and I was like, okay, like. He's like, oh, so I want people to think that she's just a dancer, and then all of a sudden, like, she takes the reins because she's actually an EMT. And I was like, but it seems like she wants to just be known as the dancer. It doesn't seem like she's going for the EMT thing, even though it says EMT under her name. So I don't know what we're going to get from Chelsea. I still haven't been able to, like, get a real read on her. And that was my initial reaction. And this is, I'd said it in the assessment. This is my Aubrey. This is my Michelle Schubert. Like, I thought both of them would be first boot. I thought Lauren would be first boot, and they all did pretty well in the game. So, yeah, that's it. You know?
Yeah. Well, I haven't watched the Jeff Probst ones yet. I should probably watch those. But that's funny because if he thinks like maybe she's trying to hide the EMT thing, at least for the pregame stuff, like all the pregame interviews, there's no harm in telling the viewer that she's an EMT. And also, I mean, once they hit the beach, I don't really know what their professions are. Like, that doesn't affect me because as soon as they're on the beach, they're actually playing the game. But right now, the only thing I have to base off of her is she's apparently an EMT, but no one's talking about it. So I don't know. I'm pretty unsure about her. And then I'm going to go down to number 19. I actually have Laurel Johnson on the Malolo tribe. I know there are kind of a couple people that I wasn't really sure of how they were going to fit in on that tribe, but I've watched a couple of her videos and she's very confident. I think a lot of people on this cast are extremely confident to the point of overconfidence, but I fear for her in that I think she might come out a little hot. And I think that's the tribe that's kind of filled with like, I mean, there's like Brendan on that tribe and like who else? Like Jacob.
It's
like
a more level-headed tribe for sure. It really
is. I just don't know where she's going to fit into it. And then I don't remember a ton of her background, but Stephanie Johnson does like Ironmans. Like Libby does Tough Mudders. Like a lot of the girls, like Stephanie Gonzalez, like she's athletic too. They're all they all seem to have some part that's going to connect them to the group. But Laurel, I'm not really sure who she's going to connect with, and that's why I'm unsure for her.
You got to go back and rewatch the cast assessment because then you wouldn't have Laurel at 19. Laurel was a Division I athlete.
Okay, yeah, I should probably go rewatch that. But
she was a runner. So like for these people who are doing Tough Mudders, doing they're doing Tough Mudders, they're doing what do you call it, Ironmans and stuff. Like she can connect with that. I'm not sure what event she ran, but I know that she was a runner. So I think she will be able to connect. What I do fear with Laurel, and I have her at 19, but I have her a little bit higher up. I agree with you though. Laurel's going to have a hard time right away because she just is good at everything, and she's really got to hide that she's good at everything. Because if they get wind that she's good at everything, that's going to be hard for her because like she's good at puzzles. She's athletic. She seems like she's going to be able to be social, but is she going to come across like too strongly and kind of bother everybody?
Because I mean, she's like you said, she's extremely smart. I think there's a lot of confidence there, and I don't know how well she'll be able to hide that.
Yeah. So I'll do my 19. I have Libby. And when I had said Libby originally on the cast assessment, I said Libby had 5th place written all over. I really thought that Libby was going to be the person who she was your Jeffra or something like that, where she's going to go deep and then she's going to get voted out. But I look at Libby on the Malolo tribe, and while Laurel on one hand, Alexa, you don't think would fit in, like Libby to me, I feel like Libby is going to have the hardest time. She might do these things in her real life, but I just feel like Libby is somebody who like on that tribe, she looks out of place on that tribe. Like, I don't know. She just looks small. She looks like somebody who she's an easy person to boot early. And I was having trouble with the bottom people here, but really with Chelsea and Libby, I look at the two of them as people who they could go deep, but I'm more confident that they'll be booted early than some of the other people I have in the middle. So like with the two of them, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I want to put them kind of smack in the middle because they could win the game or they could get last. I feel like Libby at best is going to finish like 6th, 5th, somewhere in there, but at worst could be the first person voted out of the game. So to put her at 19, I'm kind of saying like, I think she has a better chance to go early than other people. And I'll do my 18 after, like right away after that. I go 18 Angela. And the reason I go Angela here is because I think she's going to have a really, 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 really hard time on that tribe. The more I've thought about it, the more I've looked at it, I think she's going to be an outcast on that tribe. Jeff's cast assessment was really good with Angela because he was talking about how she almost has the Guatemala. What's her name? You love her. The first boot. Diane.
I love the first boot of Guatemala.
Yeah, what's her name? Diane? Dana?
No, Guatemala was a
not Guatemala. You know what I'm talking about. Panama.
Oh, Timbertina.
That's who it is. She
My
has the
girl.
very Timber. Yeah, she has like very Timbertina vibes. Like where it's almost like she's had such a big life change, and it's not that she's lost her son, but it's that she was married for so long, is no longer married, was in the army for so long, no longer in the army, lived with her kids and like raised her kids, and that was her whole life, and now her kids have moved on and are in college. It seems like she has such a big change in her life happening that I feel like she might almost like overcompensate once she hits the island. And if she hits the island and that's the mentality that she takes, she can have a hard time fitting in with this tribe, I feel like, because this tribe to me seems like a more fun, like free-spirited tribe. The more stuff that I watch with Kellyn, the more I love Kellyn. So I don't think her and Angela are really going to get along. I think Angela's a good target for Bradley, and I don't want to say that like I don't know like why, but like if I'm looking at it, like I could see Angela taking things very seriously and Bradley being like, ooh, like I can knock her down a peg. And I'm not sure if that's like going to be his game plan, but he did say that in his cast assessment video that he likes to like annoy people. So like that is a target for him. And like that's somebody that I feel like he could really get under the skin of, much the way that Joe would get under Chrissy's skin, like very easily. I feel like that could happen again here. So I think that tribe has a chance to lose early. And if they're going to lose, I just feel like she's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, I struggled with where to put her. When I started, I had her at like number 3. I had her very high up, and I flip around on her a lot. And well, when I'm going through this and when I'm reading the cast, the Castaway interviews, I take the first impressions pretty seriously. In the Hollywood Reporter articles at the bottom, they go through every single castaway and what they think of that person. And they're usually pretty spot on. And I reread the Heroes, Healers, Hustlers one, and they all kind of ended up sticking that way. And Angela was someone who had a lot of like, I'm not really sure kind of first impressions. I have her a little higher up than that. I actually, for number 18, I go with Stephanie Johnson. And we had kind of talked about either Laurel or Libby, maybe not really fitting in that group. And I get where you're coming from on Libby. I know on paper it doesn't look like she would fit in, but Stephanie Johnson, I watched her E.T. Canada video and I freaking loved it. Like she's someone who you watch and you're just like kind of giggling and like smiling because she just seems so cool. But I feel like that, like you said, to take the words out of your mouth, it's a very level-headed group, like just a calm kind of crew. And I think that she might come in a little hot. I hope not. And then also on the flip side, it could be one of those seasons where they do a tribe swap after the second tribal council. If she swaps and she's not in the majority with other Malolo people, I think she could also be a fairly easy target.
I think that the way this season is going to go is somebody like Angela and Stephanie Johnson. One of them is going to go deep and the other one's going to go early. I just feel like for me, Angela feels like the one who's going to go early. And I feel like that Stephanie Johnson is somebody who's going to go deep. I feel like Stephanie Johnson is on the tribe that might, you just said with Laurel, like she might be too much for some people or, she just might not click with people. Stephanie Johnson's going to do everything she can to click with people. And even if like they're not like I don't know, the biggest fans of her right away. I feel like they're going to win the first challenge. And if they win the first challenge, that might be all she needs to keep on getting in their good graces. Because I feel like she is somebody who I think like somebody like Jacob might find hilarious, or somebody like Brendan might be like, why not? Like, whatever. Like, she seems like a fun older, we're calling her older. And what is she? She's
mid-30s maybe.
Yeah. Like, you're calling her older though, because she's a mom. Like, that's why she's older. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I like Stephanie Johnson. So I think you have her very, very low.
I do. No, I don't like having her this low, because I think she's super cool from, the 5 minutes of internet time that I've spent watching videos. But yeah, I don't know. I'm always fearful for people who are exceptionally social. But you make a good point that I think if she does get her footing, this was what I said about Lauren last year too. Like, Lauren was the opposite. Like, Lauren maybe came off at first a little colder, a little reserved. Once she got her footing, it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that exact same thing could happen to Stephanie. Yeah. And I hope so.
And what happened? They didn't lose the first challenge. There was one person who was more annoying than Lauren, which was, I forget her name. Somebody will help. Simone, thank you. Simone went, and then the next time it was like, well, we should get rid of Lauren. It was like, no, Patrick's here. Like, let's get rid of Patrick. All she needed was those 3 days to get her footing and say, look, guys, you can like me, you can trust me. Like, why not? Mm-hmm. And that's all she needed to keep going. And I think somebody like Stephanie Johnson can have that. What I fear, and the reason I have Angela at 18, is that even if they lose the first one and Chelsea goes, or somebody else goes, I still fear that Angela might have a harder time, almost like a Nina back in like One World, where it's like, okay, like, you seemed like you were going to be okay, and now still things just aren't working for you. Like, still things just don't seem like you can get your footing. There's nobody for her to really just reach out and connect with. Her and Domenick might try to connect, but I also feel like her and Domenick are actually going to butt heads. And I feel like Domenick might take more of like a laid back, like, yeah, we can do it because I know how to do it, but like whatever. And I feel like Angela might be the one who's like, come on, get it done. And that might end up hurting her more. So that's why I think she has a harder time. And that's why I'm putting her down at 18. But I will say, you just mentioned that there's probably going to be a swap. I think there's going to be a swap to 18 to get it to 3 tribes, because we've seen that the last couple of times that we started with 20. And I think that when this swaps to 18, I think we're going to see is I think that some of the bigger men on this season are going to be in trouble, because you have a lot of super fans who don't necessarily care that they're big men, and they don't necessarily think they're going to need them. And I can see this going a very Micronesia way, where towards the end of the game, you're sitting there going, oh my God, how is Eric Reichenbach the last man standing? And how are all these women around him? And even though I think that there's going to be, at least for my boot list, I have more men at the end than women, I still think this is going to be a season of like Donathan, Jacob, like Kellyn, like those types of players making it deeper. So at 17, I'm going to go Michael. And my main reason for Michael is that he's like living a lie. And I think that's like, but seriously, but that's like really hard. And he's only 18, and you have to, there's a difference like when you're a real estate agent and in your regular life, people want something from you. So you're lying to them. And he tells people that he's in his 20s. Like, that is like a fact. He tells people in his real life that he's in his 20s. And that is one thing when people are like, okay, like, we trust this guy. He has sold a house before. Like, you can lean back on that. When you're on an island, though, and you're playing a game of deception, you now have to lie to people who have been around for a while and don't actually want anything from you. Like, they're not coming to you because they want to buy a house. They're not coming to you because they need this or they need that. They're on an island with you with the goal of voting you out and beating you. And if they get even a little hint that you're lying to them, you're done. And I really feel like people are going to catch on to Michael, because I think Michael thinks that he's smoother than he is.
Yeah, I have Michael a tiny bit higher. I have an extremely similar sentiment about him. But my 17 is also someone similar. And I'm glad you brought up One World when talking about, I think you were just talking about Angela. His name is escaping me. I think he was like one of the first.
He was the rooster, Matt,
that was him. It was Matt.
Yeah, that was Matt. He was the second boot of the game.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was like, this guy is a tank. Like, he's so big, but he's so obnoxious. And I'm looking at number 17, and I'm looking at these people, and Chris, nobody has a good thing to say about Chris. And if your first impression is so incredibly negative to 19 other people, that's tough. That's a tough rut to get out of. And you haven't even talked to people yet. And so he's already at a disadvantage because people for better or for worse, are just really not liking him. And I recently rewatched One World, things I never thought I'd say. And Matt, that guy did not do well at all. I mean, he was immediately outcast, immediately gotten rid of. And I see a similar situation happening with Chris. There are a lot of really strong dudes on this season. Like you have Brendan and you have Michael, but Chris, I mean, he's a model from Florida. Like no one is going to want to work with him. And I think kind of like you said, there's a lot of swaps. There's not as much of a reason to keep your big, strong guys around anymore. And especially if you don't like that guy, that he's not going to last long at all. So I have Chris at 17.
You have Chris at 17. Now, I have Chris a little bit higher than you, not much. But the one thing I think Chris has for him, going for him over somebody like Michael, is Chris's story with his mom. And I remember my first impression of Chris. I looked at Chris and I said, of course, here's the handsome guy, like whatever. Like, okay, cool. He's going to come out. He's a model. He's proud of that, like whatever. Once he starts talking about, I'm playing for my mom. She has MS and this and that. This seems like a legitimately good guy who like just like happens to look like the type of guy who goes on Survivor and you're like, I want to vote him out early. And I think what Chris is actually going to run into a problem of is there's going to be some type of swap and he could end up on the wrong side of the numbers in a situation where they say, let's get rid of the big, strong guy first before we get rid of the smaller guys. Like I said, there's actually more small outcasts on this season than there are big, strong people. Like
it's just that the big strong ones are super big.
That's the thing. Like there's Chris, there's Michael, there's Sebastian. After that, everybody else is kind of like smaller. And like I want to go and I want to blindside people and I got to play this game a different way.
Brendan and James are pretty built.
The thing with Brendan and James is they're both built, but they're also like 5'10". Like they're not like Michael's like 6'5" and like just built. Like Michael's like huge. He's imposing. And I think that let's say like they are starting on opposite sides, Chris and Michael, right? Are they starting on opposite sides? Yeah, they are.
Tribes, yeah.
They're starting on opposite sides. If there's a swap and they end up on the wrong side of the numbers, it could turn into like a battle of like, let's get rid of the strongest person from the other tribes because they were the providers. And like, I do think that Chris runs into a problem where he gets voted out because he actually surprises so many people. They're like, wow, that's dangerous. Whereas Michael, I think, could run into trouble where it's like, not as smooth as he thought he was. And you end up looking back on this season and saying, Michael got 17th place. How did that happen? And then you watch it and you're still like, wait, Michael got 17th place. Much like when you look at like Mikey B and Joel, you're like, how did they blow it so bad? And they did. Like how?
Yeah, with Chris, I had a little asterisk on him because of the story with his mother, but I'm not really sure how he'll use that information. Everyone has a different way and like timing of when they want to drop like kind of the bigger news or the bigger reason of why they're out on the island. And he can't, like, I don't envision him walking on and being like, my mother has MS. This is why I'm out here. Yeah. Please don't vote me out. So, I mean, if it comes into conversation naturally, maybe it'll come up early. But then you also have, wait, we have a strong guy who has an amazing story. Now he totally needs to go. So, yeah, it depends on how he sells it. Sells it sounds terrible, but it depends on how it comes up. But I'm super fearful for Chris. Flip or no flip. I mean, either way, I'm pretty nervous for him.
Well, here's the thing. Look at the way Adams came up. He didn't tell anybody until he told Jay. Like that was so much later, and then he told Jay what happened. And it's like, okay, this is so much different than like, yeah, I don't think Chris is just gonna walk out and say it, but I'm just saying, like, I think Chris's heart is in the right place, and that genuinely comes out normally on a Survivor season. Normally, if your heart's in the right place, it's going to come out at some point, as opposed to like, I'm just here to screw everybody over.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Chris is going to be different from Bradley. I mean, they both like people are writing them both off as obnoxious, and whether or not that's true, they're still very, very different personalities.
Yeah. So I have Chris at 15. So I have Michael at 17. I have Jenna at 16 and then Chris at 15. I know Jenna will kill you because I think like Jenna's like your favorite, right? Or she was like your favorite.
I have since wavered on Jenna, but I'll get to her.
I think the problem with Jenna is like I just don't know what she's gonna bring and in terms of like what's she gonna bring in the tribe phase of this game. And if she gets on a small tribe, let's say there's a swap and there's 6, 6, and 6, and she's on a smaller tribe there. Did we get confirmation if it's 3 tribes or 2 if they're going to do a swap? Have we heard that at all? I don't know if we've heard that.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
2, maybe.
Okay. I mean, I don't know, but if they swap to 3 tribes at 18 and it's 6, 6, and 6, Jen is somebody who could just end up as like your Anna, your Liz. Like Liz was definitely a little, but the type of player that Liz was, like Michelle was doomed if that tribe lost, and they didn't lose, but Anna's did, and Anna went home because there was nowhere for her to hide, and she was one of the 3 girls on the tribe that was doing the best. Like, I could see Jenna kind of falling into that role where it's just like, oh man, like she really just had her back against the wall and there was nothing that she could do. I could also see Jenna hitting the merge, which is why putting her at like 16 instead of putting her up at 19, or 18, like with Angela. I think Jenna has a little bit better shot at making the merge than Angela. And I also think Jenna has a chance to win the game more than Angela does, but I still don't see her doing anything too crazy. So I've heard 16. I have Chris at 15. So if you want to do like your next 2 to catch up.
Okay. I have Jenna in a specific place. So I'll go more in depth, like with my reasoning for Jenna and like kind of how I feel about her once I get to her. You said you got up to 15.
Yeah, my 15 was Chris. So
okay. So for 16, I go with Morgan. And Morgan is kind of one of the people, she was one of the last ones I had left. And I didn't really know what to do with her because I really liked her. I think I said like in my cast assessment of her, like, I think I was like grinning ear to ear because I was like, oh my God, she plays with orcas. Like, how cool is she? But I'm trying to put her in the game, and everything that I'm reading about her flirting with people while having a boyfriend comes up a lot. And that, Libby mentioned Laurel mentioned she had a boyfriend. She's going to try to lie, has been practicing lying to her boyfriend to see if she can do that in person. I thought that was really cool. And with Morgan, that came up in her video. And then it's come up in like 5 different interviews that I've read. And it's like a fun fact. And I guess that's like the tagline that they're sticking on her. But past that, I don't really know what her game plan is or what her strategy is. And she's another one who I think is super social and is extremely likable and is probably very, very relatable. Like, she just seems like a bubbly, happy person. Obviously, like, probably a very talented swimmer, seems relatively athletic, but I just don't know who she's going to connect with on her tribe. And I don't know anything about her other than that boyfriend thing. And that's why I just don't know what to do with her.
Okay. When we initially saw the cast come out, I was so mixed on Morgan, but now the more I've seen it, and if you look at the press photos that came out and everything, every photo Morgan's smiling. And I think that's just her permanent face.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just what she does. And I think that if that tribe loses, there's a couple people who would go before her. If there's a swap, I think she's a positive personality that new people might be like, hey, we kind of like Morgan. We can't tell if this is fake or real, but we kind of like her. So I think actually Morgan has a shot to go a little bit deeper here than I'd initially thought, just because, like, I think her real personality is just like, this is great. Everything's great. Like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm going to fly by my bootstraps and like, whatever. And I think it's cool. Like, I like that personality from her. And it grew on me a little bit. So I have her making the merge at least. So there's a little spoiler down the line, you know?
Oh, that's good. I hope she makes the merge. So that's great. I'm glad one of us has it there.
Yeah.
And then just to catch up with you, for 15, I have Michael as well. And you brought up a good point with him living a lie. Because first of all, he's saying he's 23. And I brought this up on our cast assessment. But people still aren't necessarily going to like deeply respect a 23-year-old. I think he could pass as like up to 26. I just think he looks that much older. In terms of how he'll act, that's still left to be determined. But the thing is, as soon as someone finds out that he's 18, because everyone hides something, and I would love to know the percentage of how many people hide like a big part of their life, either their job or their age or whatever, how often that actually makes it to day 39. But the second someone finds out that guy is 18, he's never going to win the game, because no one is going to pick an 18-year-old real estate agent to win. And I think on top of that, he is coming off a little confident, and I think he'll be great in challenges. I don't know. I think maybe he'll connect with like Libby, but I don't really know. I'm pretty fearful for him, mostly because I just know that his age is going to come out. And once that comes out, people are going to be like, all right, well, you're 18. You're going to get out of here.
Yeah. And I see like people in the comments where it's like, what about Todd? What about Aris? What about Fabio? Like, there's a difference between being 18, being 21, being 22, being 23, being 24. There's the person I am at 26 compared to where I was when I was 23 is insane. Where I was at 18, like, are you kidding me? Like, my 18-year-old self to my 23-year-old self, they wouldn't be friends. Like, there's no way. So it's just like a matter of like, they're 23. I mean, 23, you could be the most mature person in the world, or you could be so immature that like nobody can stand you because you're still in that in-between stage. But like for him, I feel like he's so confident that this is going to work. That's where I think that he's going to get into trouble, is that he's so confident his lie will be fine. And like, it might be fine, but people also might be like, so you're 23, like, okay, like why are you maybe talking to somebody like that? Or why do you not know what this is or whatever? Like there's I feel like something's going to come out here, because this is what Survivor just strips you down to. It reveals all your secrets. It reveals everything. And it's like, something's going to happen here with Michael that's just going to be like, oh man, he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. And I'm looking at these comments too. Like if you just said this, 26-year-old Phil versus 23-year-old Phil, 18-year-old Alexa versus 21-year-old Alexa versus current 24-year-old Alexa are completely different personalities, different like lifestyles, just completely different people. 18 and 21. I'm assuming he's probably not in college because he's actively a real estate agent right now. Yeah. But just like that period of time is such a period of growth, and I probably wouldn't be able to carry a conversation with someone who was in their mid 30s when I was 18 versus the way I would be able to do that now. It's just a different. It's just a different lifestyle. So
it is.
I'm not too confident.
It is cool that so I had Michael at 17 and you had him at 15. I had Chris at 15. You had him at 17. So we flopped the big guys. We don't think either big guy's making it into the merge. Okay. All right. My number 14 is Gonzalez, and I was going to put her lower than this, but then last night, I think it was last night, she just like threw like a
2 in the morning.
She just like went on like a rampage of liking all of our tweets, and I was like, you know what? Gonzalez is going places.
For every tweet that she liked, Phil moved her up 1 point.
That's pretty much what ended up happening. I was like, really at the beginning, I was like, all right, Gonzalez is the first person off of that tribe, and Chelsea's the first person off of this tribe. And then I was like, well, maybe Gonzalez is a little more excited than I thought. Let's move her up a little bit. I still have a hard time seeing her hitting the merge and doing well. But I don't know, like if you go back to Cagayan, like she could have like that Alexis Maxwell where it's like, I just really like this and now I'm gone. Like that sucks, but I really had a good time and now I'm gone. And like, I hate this. So I could see something like that. So I'm going to put her at 14. Going out like right around the merge. Maybe she hits the merge and she's the random girl boot this season, since we're on that little streak
That's where
here.
all my merge boots are.
Right? Like, so maybe she's the random merge boot, but I think that she's going to go like right before the merge. Would have been like Allie, where it's like all you had to do is make it one more vote and who knows what could have happened. You could have opened up some doors, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
You're at there for 14. Okay. I wasn't really sure, like 13 and 14, kind of right before the merge. I didn't really know where to put anyone. So that's actually where I stuck Libby, and I really don't have a good reason for it. I guess Libby's kind of my Devin of last year. I forget where I put Devin, but I remember saying I don't know why I put him there, and I feel kind of the same way about Libby. I think she'll be able to connect with people fine. I'm actually not too nervous about that for her, because I think she's cute, interesting. Like I think she's like a social media strategist. I think she lives in Texas. There's a lot. She can find something in common with a lot of people. But people might want to get rid of her right before the merge. I mean, she could fall into a bad set of cards, kind of like with Allie. I mean, Allie, everyone thought Allie was going to win, and Allie just got dealt a really bad hand and then couldn't capitalize on it. And I know a lot of it was so out of her control because she didn't know what she needed to capitalize on because of that hidden idol. Yeah. And with Libby, if her back's against the wall, I'm not sure if she'll be able to wiggle out of it. So I feel like if she's in a position where she's in the minority and she's the next one going home, I'm not really sure how she's going to get out of it. I could be super wrong about that. But yeah, I have her at number 14.
All right. Yeah. I mean, Libby, I have a hard time with Libby. Like I want to see Libby go further, but I don't necessarily know how she does. So I think she's the pre-merge boot. My 13 is Sebastian. And my reason for Sebastian, well, here's why I have Sebastian at 13. I don't think Sebastian can win, and I don't think Sebastian is going to be one of the first guys out. But I don't know where he's going to fall in all of this. He seems like the type of guy that they would just get rid of around the merge. Well, if they're going to get rid of him around the merge, that's right at 13. I feel confident putting him smack in the middle because like the most points I can get from him now is if he wins and I get 12. But I don't think he's going to win, and I don't think he's going to get second. I don't think he's going to get third. So I really feel like the most points I'm going to get from somebody like Sebastian is maybe 8 or 9. So I'm kind of confident putting him at 13. I think that it's a good way to like hedge your bets on him. I do think the way this season is set up, people are going to love having Sebastian on their tribe early. But that could also be another reason why he goes right at the merge or right before the merge, because it's like, wow, that guy was the guy who like fished for us and did all this for us. And man, he was great. And then you're like, man, he was great. Let's vote him out. Like before he can go on a run or do something. Like he's a strong looking guy. Jeff compared him to Ozzy, of course. Jeff said that he thinks kids are really going to like him, of course. Like, he just has like that likable personality and everything. But there's just something about this cast that says Sebastian isn't going to get much further than the merge.
Yeah, Sebastian. Actually, I'm pretty confident where I put Sebastian. But your description of him was pretty on point. I have him like early merge because that is like where providers and athletic guys have been voted out. For my number 13, I have Angela. So I had her a little higher up than you. Like I mentioned earlier, final 3. I floated her around a lot. And I really hope I'm wrong on her, but I think if she makes it through the first vote out, let's say her tribe loses, she makes it through the first vote out. I actually think she could be in an okay place. But like you said, she is a leader. She has led in ways that no one else on this season has led before. And the difference is these 19 castaways are not the people that she has led. And she has led people who are determined, and it is their job to work with her, and it is her job to keep them in line. But these people are going to want to do quite the opposite. And I think people, as soon as someone, pretty much like a lot of these people, I don't think that they want to be bossed around. And I don't think that she would boss people around, but we have watched time and time again. I think she's the oldest player on this season. She's definitely the oldest woman on the season. No, I think people aren't going to listen to her because I think that they won't take her seriously, or they'll think that she's coming off too strong. And I think in a swap situation, she's not in a great position. But then when it comes to people saying, who do I want to take to the merge? Who's going to listen to me when I try to make my big strategic moves? I don't think people will see Angela in their equation for that. So she'd be good to keep early because she's a leader. She's strong. Hopefully she'll get along with people. But I think once it comes down to, I need numbers so I can do my thing, I don't think people will view Angela as that person.
Yeah, and I look at like Chrissy was just on the last season, and Chrissy might not have gotten along with everybody, but she did have Ryan, who was like her number one. Like her and Ryan were like go-to. And I look at this cast and I'm like, who's Angela's number one? Who's her go-to? And on her starting tribe, I know Ryan and Chrissy didn't start on the same tribe, but they also had that unique situation of the idol. On her starting tribe, I don't see anybody that's like, man, I really want to work with Angela. Maybe Domenick if the two of them don't butt heads, but I just feel like the two of them are bound to butt heads. I really do.
Were you at number 13 too? Because that's a good segue for me to go to 12.
Yeah, my Sebastian was 13. So go ahead. Do your 12.
Okay, your Sebastian's 13. So you just mentioned Domenick. I have Domenick at number 12, and kind of between 10 through 12 are my like potential merge boots. And Domenick, I didn't really know what to do with him because I think he's going to play pretty hard. I think he'll actually get along with people pretty well. He seems to be like pretty charismatic, really interesting. But I view him like in a Marty kind of position. And I hope the season doesn't end up the way that it did after Marty was voted out. As we know, Phil can't even finish Nicaragua as soon as Marty's voted out. But I kind of have him like that's who I'm going to typecast him as. I think he's going to be super strategic, but I think like this is a wicked young cast, and I think that they're going to want to get rid of him. And I was wrong last season because all the quote unquote older people, they ended up kind of making it to the end. They were all kind of the final 6 right there. But I think people are going to view him as a super, super strategic guy, and they're going to be like, well, he probably has an idol, or he either played an idol already. He's going to find another one. We got to get rid of him now. Because his whole thing is like, I'm just gonna like blaze a trail of whatever. I'm going to be stealing this. I'm going to be trying something different. I'm going to credit all of it to Tony. Like he keeps saying none of his moves are going to be his. He's just going to credit Tony the whole entire time, which is like, I don't know. I thought that was like kind of funny. So for that reason, I have him in like a weird merge boot scenario because I think everyone's going to be like, well, I don't really trust him. He's peeing in a spy shack over there. We got to dump him.
Ha, get it? Peeing and dump in the same sentence. Wow.
Ooh,
here we go.
Wow. That was not
Look
planned.
at you go. I like Domenick a lot. I really do. I really like Domenick. I'm not going to lie. So I'll talk about Domenick later. I really like Domenick. I like Domenick's personality. I like the way his initial.
Oh, I like him. No, don't put it on record that I don't like him.
No. I'm also saying that I kind of like where Domenick can go in this game. That's what I'm saying. Like I really like where Domenick.
The way you're saying that, I was like, no. I like him.
I'm not thinking you don't. I'm just saying like I think the best thing for Domenick is that this is Ghost Island. And that I feel like he's going to be somebody who either might volunteer to go to Ghost Island or he might be somebody who the tribe, like he might say to his tribe, guys, let's just send me, or he might get sent by the other tribe. Because if you look at his tribe, Chris is clearly the strongest looking guy. And then Sebastian, Wendell's a really strong looking guy. But if the other tribe gets to decide who goes to Ghost Island, are they going to pick one of them? Or are they going to be like, let's see if we can get this Domenick guy to go who kind of just looks like maybe he'll come out as like, oh, he helped build the shelter. And it's like, let's get rid of him like they did with Terry. And I'm not saying he's Terry. I'm not saying that. But
taking the night.
I think that there's some things that Ghost Island benefits Domenick. That's how I feel with this. So.
Yeah, I think it does too. I disagree in that people would send him though. I don't know if he'd be the one that they would send. I mean, there's probably going to be sending people a ton. God, I hope so. That'd be funny.
He's going to do everything he can to go to Ghost Island. He really is.
I think so too. It depends on how people get sent there. I mean, that part we're still unsure of. So TBD on that. Do you want to do your number 12? Yeah.
So my number 12 is smack dab in the middle because they could either be the first boot, they could win the game, or they could be the merge boot. I got Laurel. I had no idea what to do with her. I like Laurel a lot. I thought her cast video was great, but I also feel like Laurel could find herself in a situation where she's on that tribe and they're just like, let's get rid of her. And early, maybe, because maybe she doesn't fit in all that well, or she could be somebody who goes on to win the entire game because she's just that smart, that good at sports, and that much fun to be around. Mm-hmm. Or she could be a merge boot because she's kind of threatening, or because she might be the random girl this season. Like, I don't know, but I have Laurel smack in the middle because I don't know where else to put her. And then I'll jump into my 11 is Wendell, who I think is also in the same situation. I really like Wendell. I think I said he was my favorite person on that tribe. When we did the cast assessment, I love Wendell. Can Wendell win? Yeah, but he is my obvious guy this season, if that makes sense. Like last season, it was Desi, and you said like, oh, Brendan seems so obvious. My obvious guy this season is Wendell. It just seems like he's the guy who look at his smile and tell me you don't want to give him $1 million. I mean, why wouldn't you want this guy to win? And how are they going to let him get that deep? They're not. So my belief is Wendell is somebody that they're going to try to take out before he can actually get to a position where he can win the game. He could be like a Jay and maybe get 6th place or whatever, or he could be somebody who they boot right before the merge because they're just like, dude, this guy's so likable on the other tribe and we're starting to get along with him. Let's get rid of him. Like, he's got too many allies. So
I'm really liking this because our boot lists are so different.
This is
going really well. I'm liking this. I get where you're coming from on Wendell being the obvious one. I thought that immediately when I watched this video, but I will not say that I have him as low as 11. For my 11, I'm going with random girl merge boot. I'm going with Jenna. I came in wicked hot on Jenna at the beginning. I loved her. I still think she's awesome. Like, I think she's hilarious. Like, there's like a video of her and her arm, or there's a photo of her and like her arm is super long. And I swear to God, like CBS probably like made it even longer than it is. But in every cast photo that comes out, she's like, look at how big my arm is. Like, she's been having a ton of fun with this. But she's also, and like everything that I said in the cast video, like I think she'll get along with people fine. I think seems bubbly. Like I relate to her, like her life. I feel like she and I live like a very similar life. But everything she's saying is actively attempting to make enemies. She's like going to be your like female Bradley. She's saying like, if you don't have enemies on the jury, you didn't play the game right. Like, I'm here to just come in, play this game, make as many enemies as possible. And I think she's going to come out very strategic, and I think she's going to be very good at it. But I think that your strategic player goes out at the merge, and just based on like the past 4 seasons, a strategic girl has gone out, or random girl has gone out at the merge, and I think it could be Jenna. I thought Jenna was going to win when I first watched her video, but I think if she gets to the end, I feel like she might have bothered people, because that seems to be the point she's trying to make. So I'm a little nervous for her, but I guess I have her at number 11, so I guess I feel meh about where I think she is.
Yeah, I think that Jenna almost reminds me of like Alina from Nicaragua.
Wow. With a lot of Nicaragua references tonight.
There's a lot of Nicaragua references, but because I almost feel like this is super random as I'm filling this out, because I still don't even know why I'm doing half of this. But with Jenna, it's like I look at Jenna and I'm like, okay, she could win the game, but there's just something about her that's not going to click with everybody. And then I read the same thing you read, where it was like, if you're not trying, whatever, if you don't have enemies on the jury, you're not playing the game right. It's like, okay, but Adam didn't really have any enemies on the jury. Like,
but
he
Sandra,
won.
like,
like I don't know, like Jeremy didn't really have any enemies on the jury. Spencer had a lot. Did Spencer play the game more right than Jeremy? Because I don't think so. Like Tony had enemies on the jury, but like so that's like one of the people that you could go to. It's just like, you got to play the game like within your real self, and I feel like Jenna's going to do the most to not play as her real self, and it's the same reason I had Michael going out so early, it's the same reason I had Jenna going out so early. It's like, I almost like they're going to be like 2 people, you know?
Yeah, I feel you on that. Was that your number 11? I have like no idea where you are.
Yeah, we've both done 11.
Okay, I'm going to go to my number 10. I have Sebastian at number 10, and I have him there because, and I said this when you mentioned him too, but I don't know. He's like the athletic provider, and I'm not going to compare him to Ozzy, but a lot of times, like, the athletic people are getting voted out early, or early merge. So I think they're going to get rid of him. Personality wise, I don't really know who he's going to connect with. He seems like one of the more chill people on the island, and I don't really know if that's the game that like the people are going to be trying to play in the merge. Like, they're going to be on like playing Ghost Island, like you say. Like, Domenick is just going to run his way through Ghost Island, like. All the people who I have left are huge super fans. And I think that they're going to be trying to play the game super hot and just wanting to get rid of him because he's the athletic guy who might just be able to win his way to the end.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I think this season is the season of like the super fan doing really well. I think that they all are going to like kind of bond together, and I think that you're going to see like a lot of them do really, really well here. So I'm going to... Sorry.
Yeah, you keep going.
I'm gonna say that my number 10, I have James, and I really love James like a lot. I think James is great. I think James is like a lot of fun. I think he's going to be really good on this season. I think James is like a triple threat. He's likable. He's athletic. He's like, he's got everything. He's smart, but he's another one where it's like, somebody like I'm looking at this season as like the people who have 2 out of 3 are actually in better shape than the people who have 3 out of 3. And like somebody like Jacob seems like he's smart and also really likable, but he's not athletic. And I feel like he's going to bond with maybe somebody like Donathan, somebody like Bradley. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like like somebody like James could win the game, but man, if they let him get to the end, they gotta be fools for that, don't they? I mean, he's too good.
Yeah, I have James in a weird position because of the new Final Four twist. I have him in an interesting spot, but I guess like kind of similar to like James, I have Brendan at number 9 for the obvious reason. To me, like, I know Wendell's your obvious guy. To me, Brendan's the obvious guy. So I have him looped in with like Sebastian and your more like athletic leaders, in that he's going to end up in the final 9, and people are going to be like, why is he still here? Like, someone like him absolutely cannot be here. Like, we're just taking it as fact that he's apparently going to be chosen as the leader. If he's not, I feel like we're going to be pretty thrown through a loop there. But he's someone who is going to like get that far, and someone's going to say like, no. This absolutely cannot happen. Like, this is a family man. He's strong. He's likable. He's got the whole thing going on. He's got to go. I that's where I see Brendan going.
I just feel like I had said in the cast assessment, I feel like somebody like him bonds with Jacob, bonds with Donathan. Like, he bonds with people on his tribe that do go further in the game. And even though he's like an obvious, like he almost seems like he just has to be the savage boot every time, right? Like, it just seems like it has to be then. But I think there's just something about Brendan for me that I feel like can overcome some of that. And I don't think Brendan's going to win, but I think Brendan has a better shot than a lot of people think that he has a chance. Like, because I think that he's going to be sincere to the people on his tribe to start. And I think the people on his tribe that align with him are really going to like him. And he might have a hard time getting to the other side. But I feel like the people on his tribe might actually help him get further in this game, because they're going to be saying, okay, we can get him at 5th, we can get him at 6th, but we kind of need him to keep on being on our side early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's just way too obvious for me. But I mean, I have him at 9. Like, I have him doing pretty well. But he's also, like you said, he's very loyal. Like, he's going to be, I think, unlike what, like we said, right, either Jenna or Michael, he's totally going to be himself. Yeah. I don't think he would be able to turn himself off. And I think that will do very well for him up until the moment his back is against the wall and he's going to have to make a shift. I don't know if he'll be able to do that, because he's just so like confident in who he is. And that part has worked so well for him for that much of the game that it's going to be hard to change that when there's only so many people left.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 9, I have Morgan. Like I said, Morgan grew on me a lot. And so the other 8, actually, there's one person in the final 8 that I wasn't expecting to put in my final 8 originally. I thought I would have Wendell in there, but I ended up moving Wendell down. And then Morgan, though, is like the number 1 person that didn't make it into my top 8 that I was really low on earlier. Yeah. Like, I was really, really low on her early. And now, like, I'm like, okay, like, Morgan has a real shot here because she's just that likable. Still don't think that. What is she like? Walk into your room?
It's I have a gap in between the ceiling and my wall, so it's a little bad.
That's what it is. Partay. Yeah, there's a party going on at Alexa's. Everybody,
party up in here. Come on over.
I know. We'll just call it out, right? That's what we do. We just call out the parties.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised we it hadn't been mentioned earlier.
I know. Well, yeah, there's a party going on over there. So anyway, Morgan, 9 for Morgan. Morgan. I mean, she grew on me a lot just from watching like some of the videos, reading some of the interviews. Like, she doesn't seem like somebody who is going to rub people the wrong way early. She's loud and everything, but I do think that she benefits from being on the tribe that she's starting on, where even if they lose, they're not going to vote out Morgan. I feel like Morgan's much like Stephanie Johnson is going to have a chance to kind of get herself going. Yeah. So I'll put Morgan at number 9. And I'll do my number 8 too. So number 8, I'm going Jacob. And my reason for Jacob is I think that Jacob's so likable. And I feel like he's going to be likable throughout the game. And I feel like he's going to try to backstab some people. I just think that eventually, like, they're just going to be like, okay, how can this guy get to the end? Or he'll have like a Zeke Game Changers moment at the very end there where you're just like, why did he betray Andrea? Like, I don't even get why he did that. And I think that you could see something similar like that happen with Jacob, where it's like, he's such a big fan that like he might almost be like, either I'm not doing enough to win the game, so I need to make a move, and then that costs him. Or it's, oh my God, he's going to win the game. We need to get rid of Jacob now. And his closest ally decides, you know what, Jacob's got to go home because he's just a big teddy bear and he's going to win the game.
Yeah, teddy bear has been like everyone's description of Jacob. And it's like,
he is.
It's totally accurate, but it's just so funny. Like, everyone is jumping on the teddy bear train. I have Jacob a little higher up than you, but I have him kind of in a similar sentiment. So for my second person, the only other person in my entire bill list who I just wasn't really sure where to put, she ended up at number 8, and that's where I have Des. I rewatched her video. I really liked her. I'm so confused by her bathing suit, but I think it's really cool. So that might be why she gets to number 8. And also, like, all the cast's like everyone's first impressions is like, what is that bathing suit? I thought she was wearing it wrong and she was crazy, but no, she's just a fashionista. So she's another one who is definitely like wise beyond her years. I mean, she has gone through so much and she's only 21 years old. So this kind of goes back to our conversation of like, how old are you at that age? I think she's 21 and she's not 21. She is like emotionally not 21, physically not 21. Like she really seems like she'll be able to connect with the younger people because she is 21, but with the people who are older than her because she has so much life experience. And I think she lives with like 8 people. She's been homeless. I mean, she has like played Survivor her entire life, just in a real live version. So I think that will really benefit her. I think people will find out that she has a good story and want to get rid of her. I think I envision like a Sunday kind of boot where like she's kind of floating around and then one day everyone's like, okay, this is it. Everyone was going to wake up and just vote out Des because that's what we're going to do. But then at the same time, she does seem very strong-willed. So she could butt heads with people, but I think if that doesn't happen at the very beginning, she'll be able to hold that in and then just keep going until number 8, where I assume she'll go home.
Yeah, I feel like Des is one of those people. As soon as I looked at it, I was like, "There's no way this girl's gonna win. Like, there's no way Des gonna win. Like, she's got the loud bathing suit. She's a loud person. She's just very, very loud. But then, like, as you hear more from her, I'm like, she could go so far in this game, and how is she gonna end up going out? Like, are people going to realize how much of a threat Des is before it's too late? I really, 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 really like Des. I'm a big fan of her right now. And so I have her a little bit higher than you, a little bit higher than number 8 where you have her. My number 7, I have Stephanie Johnson. So finally coming in with Stephanie Johnson
nice.
Here. There's something about the Malolo tribe where I really am sold that Jacob, Stephanie Johnson, Donathan, and Brendan are going to be like a thing. Like, I've just completely convinced myself that that's already set in stone. And
it's like the Wilt Fantasyland.
I'm living in it. Like, I said it in the cast assessment, and I'm saying it now. Like, I just feel like that's going to happen.
I don't know why. It down. So it's Stephanie Johnson.
Stephanie Johnson. Donathan.
Donathan.
Jacob.
Okay.
And Brendan.
Okay, I'm doing this because as Phil and I've mentioned multiple times, Phil called the Final Four, and then we both completely forgot about it until it was brought up after the game. So I'm going to write this down so that we can actually like hold you accountable for if it's not right or congratulate you if it is right.
There you go. See, I like that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I had said after the premiere that, hey, this could be your Final Four, and I got the Final Four right. And like,
and then we never talked about it ever again.
Will said he was like listening with his friends, and like the other 2 were just like, "Wait, what? How did he know that? Like, what?"
Like, all right, Will, stop telling us everything.
Yeah, so I'm telling Phil. So yeah, totally. I just feel like that's going to happen. So I'm putting Stephanie Johnson at 7, and I have Desiree at 6. So there you go. That's where I think Desiree finally goes out. But I really feel like this is the season where like the underdogs are going to take over, and like because there's more of them. And like somebody like Desiree, somebody like Kellyn, somebody like Domenick, somebody like even Bradley, like these aren't people who generally go very far in this game for the most part, but I feel like this season they're going to.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go up to my number 6. So for 7, I have your boy Bradley. I think like I know you had kind of compared
too low.
Well, it's 7. I'm already like we're running out of space up there. So Bradley, I know you're listening because I know you listen to us. I'm sorry, but it's similar to the Jenna situation where he's going to actively try to piss people off, which has worked out extremely well in Survivor. But this is a cast of some wicked egos and some wicked super fans. And he's another one who is I think he's going to be all in on the Ghost Island. He's going to be there. He's going to be playing idols. He's going to be faking idols. He's going to be doing the whole thing. And then I think eventually that's going to catch up to him. And as soon as someone has an opening to get rid of him, because I don't think there are going to be many, they're going to jump on him and they're going to get rid of him.
I feel like Bradley I'll say I have Bradley at 3rd. I mean, we're down. I'm talking my final 5 anyway. I got Bradley at 3. I feel like Bradley has a really good chance to get to the end, but is he going to infuriate everybody? And even Jeff like said
those 2 are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, like Jeff came into the like he said in his cast assessment, like Bradley walked into the room and it was like the most like confident and arrogant person that had walked into that room in a long time. And like honestly, when I met the guy, I didn't really get that much from him. Not that. Like I didn't get like, oh, he's super arrogant. Like I didn't walk out of there and was like, Kenny, dude, like what is wrong with that guy? Like I didn't get that at all. Like dead serious. But like that's what Jeff got from it. That's what his cast assessment video tells me. That's what his interviews tell me. And I'm sitting here going, you know what? He's gonna get third place. Like I don't know.
That's a good point. Like he could get to the end and then everyone could be like, you can go at yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's an extremely good point. Yeah, I think between where you and I have him is like a very safe place for him. But yeah, I mean, if he gets to the end, like I'm sure it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, just to catch up with you, I have Jacob at number 6. So now I'd say like kind of 8 and up are all people who I think have like a really good chance to win. I think Jacob, like you explained him very well. Like he's different from your quote unquote like nerd template that they have, because he is like also very relatable, and I feel like people are going to be super drawn to him really, really quickly. And I think that'll be really, really good for him at the beginning. But he's someone who knows Survivor. He's a massive, massive fan. I'd say he's probably maybe one of the bigger fans on the season. That's nothing to base that off of. But
he blogged for somebody. I think Arhat.
Yes.
He blogged. So he
blogs. He's a millennial. He blogs.
Huge.
Big millennial. So Jeff's going to talk to him about that. Big blog guy. Also a Jewish music teacher, which is my new favorite occupation for Survivor contestant. I'm going to put that one out there. But anyways, I think he's going to be someone. I know you said he might go down the path of might get complacent and then come in super hot to like make his big move, like a Will Wall kind of thing. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think he's going to have a good case just on the likability stand, that people are going to wake up and say, we got to get rid of him. Everybody likes him. Even the people who aren't allied with him likes him because he's just a naturally likable dude. I think they have to get rid of him before this whole fire making thing too, because we know that's coming. So all of your likable winners, like they're going to be going earlier because of that. So that's why I'm a little thrown off in my post-merge rankings.
It makes it tougher because as you start sitting here, you're like, wait, who can make the fire? Who can't make the fire? Who's going to be looked at as the biggest threat in the game that they want to get rid of at 4? Who's going to be the person that could win at 5 and then go 4? Like it makes it really, really tough now that there's that fire making thing. It adds a whole new element to when do you vote somebody out?
Yeah, I know. And it's like number 5 is where you vote out your guaranteed winner. And that's
who do you have
like number 5. There's still a lot more to go after that.
Who's your guaranteed winner that's going at 5?
Yeah. So number 5, I have put my phone on the wrong side. Number 5, I put Donovan. I have Donovan in the exact same spot. Wow, that is adorable. I think he is going to be another one who is super likable, has an amazing story, knows the game. He's going to crush the Ghost Island part of it, and he's going to get to number 5. And if he doesn't have an idol, they're going to be like, this guy has to get out of here. We can't give him the fire option. I don't know if he's good at making fire. I don't know who's good at making fire and who's not, but he's someone who's got to go before that option even comes up, because I think he could win this game hands down.
Easily. And I think the whole thing that comes down to is who wouldn't give it to the caretaker, the gay caretaker from Eastern Kentucky, who is, he's living in this like he comes out at such a young age, and he's living in a town where people don't come out in that town. And who's not going to give him the win, because he's not going to make anybody mad. I mean, if you look at the cast assessment, or not the cast, but if you look at the press photos, he's coming off that canoe, that whatever that they're coming in on. He is so far ahead of everybody coming off that. And I think that's just pure excitement of like, oh my God, I'm here. I can't wait to get out there. Like he's getting to play like his favorite show, but how are they going to let him get to the finals? Like how are you going to let Donovan get to the end? Like you just can't do it. So I actually think the way I have it set up right now is that this gets you into a tricky situation where my final 5 has Donovan, Brendan, Domenick, Bradley, and Kellyn. That's my final 5. And I actually think that all of them will probably be threats to win at this point. Even somebody like Bradley, who might rub people the wrong way, I still think that he could be looked at as a threat to win. So I'm looking at that's my final five. I put Donathan at 5, but now you still have a situation where you have Brendan could get to the final 3 and win. Domenick could get to the final 3 and win. Kellyn could get to the final 3. So my number 4 and the person that I think that I have Brendan at 4. And you would sit there and be like, well, Brendan would just make the fire and win. But I could see Brendan being one of those guys who just somehow loses the fire making challenge, gets so close like we've seen so many times. And maybe his tribe is on the wrong side of the numbers because somehow things went wrong and they only had a 4-person alliance because that's all I allowed them. And there's 20 people in the game.
No more than 4.
Side. Yeah, they couldn't get more than 4. So they were always on the wrong side of the numbers. And it just ended up working out for him where he was the last one standing from his alliance. And all 3 of them were going to vote him out, and he could have pulled the Ben, and he ended up losing instead of getting there. Because I don't think Brendan can get to the end, but I love Brendan. I really do.
I love him too. I don't know how he even gets there. I love him. He was like the first. Yeah. I was like super into him coming out, and I have no idea how he gets there. So I hope I'm wrong.
His 4-person alliance carries him there. So I have Brendan at 4, and I already told you I have Bradley at 3. So do you want me to do my final 2? Or,
yeah, finish it up, and then I'll do mine.
All right. So at number 2, I have Kellyn. Number 1, I have Domenick. So I have Domenick. Wow. I have Domenick winning. He's going to give everything to Tony. He's just keeps on talking about how he wants to play like Tony, how he's going to be walking around picking stuff up. This is the kind of guy who goes out there, he plays the game, and if he gets away with it, he's going to win. And I think he has a chance to get away with it because he's still the older, like, who cares guy. And Kellyn was somebody I never in a million years thought that I would put deep in the game. But the more I've read from her and the more I've seen from her, I'm just like, man, like, she is something. Like, I like
the Kellyn hype so train much. Was a slow burn, but it is coming in.
Yeah, like now I feel like I'm getting like trucked. Like it's hitting me. Like I don't know.
Kellyn train just smacking Phil in the face.
It just destroyed me. Like I was
that's a Photoshop I'm gonna go do when we hang up.
I was not like super high on Kellyn after the cast assessment, but after reading more, I watched her ET Canada video. Like
her ET Canada video was awesome. It was like, so good.
Other things that people have said about it, like, man, I love it. Like I just love Kellyn. So I'm going Kellyn 2, and I'm going Domenick 1 because I think somehow Dominick's just gonna have a better story of like, you see what I had to do to get here, and he's gonna have done so much to get there. So that's my number 1.
Okay. I get where you're coming from on that. So my 4-3-2-1. So my fire making challenge is Gonzalez versus Kellyn. And I have Gonzalez winning the fire making challenge.
What?
So
I already had typed in Gonzalez after you said that. God.
Okay, so Kellyn is number 4, Gonzalez is number 3. So I have Gonzalez winning that fire making challenge. And Kellyn, like, she's one where I feel like she's the one that they're not going to want to bring because she could totally win it. But that obviously can't happen. So you have to hope that she's bad at making fire. And so I have Gonzalez winning that. And then my final 3 is Gonzalez taking 3rd place, James taking 2nd place, and Wendell taking 1st place. And I know he's the obvious one, but those 3, they all are very eloquent. They're all going to be able to captivate that jury. They all have good stories, but there's something about Wendell. I mean, you said this too, that guy, you just smile when you watch his video. Like, he is just such a naturally charismatic person. And if he gets to the end, I think he's got it. I think he's got it in the bag. And I know a ton of people have him winning, which is why I'm comfortable thinking that James could win, or Gonzalez, or Kellyn, or Donathan, Jacob, like any of those people could win. But I think if Wendell gets there, I think he's got it.
Yeah, I think that Wendell gets there, he's got it, but I just don't think he gets there. It's like the same thing with Brendan, where it's like, how are they going to let him get there? So I just don't think he does.
We had some totally different boot lists. Good on us.
Very, 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 very different.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Different. Yeah, it was very, very different, which is good. I think it had to do with the fact that we hadn't gotten to talk about the cast really since the cast assessment. We didn't do the fantasy games. We didn't just we're not just repeating what we've already said. Like, this is like, okay, now we've seen more material. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. So. And this is another one. I was noticing this. We both kept doing it. Even down at like 18 and 19, like way down in our merge, we prefaced probably more than half of this cast with, I love this person. I mean, these people, we said this at the end of the cast assessment, but these are just some really, really interesting, like charismatic, just like, or good TV people. Like, every video I watch, I'm like, man, maybe that person should win. Like, they're all really, really great. And I like that. I like that a lot. It means my boot list is probably going to be a hot mess, But I'm really going to enjoy the ride. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good season. I have high hopes after like seeing like the start of this. Like after seeing what we've seen so far, like I have high hopes for this season. I think this cast is really, really into it. And just from seeing like the interaction that they've had like on Twitter and on social media, it seems like they're still excited about it. So that's always
they're all pretty pumped about it. Yeah. And they're like, they're all following each other. They're all tweeting. And it's good. Like you want a cast that's really excited for us to watch. So I think we're in for a treat. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. So that's it. So remember, you have to enter your boot list on this video. It has to be in the comment section of this video.
Yeah, we will not take a boot list anywhere else. If you email it to us, if you tweet it at us, post on Facebook, we're not going to take it. Please comment on just this video with your boot list. As Phil said, go from 20 down to 1. 20 is the person who you think is going to lose first, the first loser. And number 1 is who you think is going to win the game. Please, like we said, please write down the cast and cross them off as you go. If you are doubled up on someone, we are not going to count it. Phil's not going to count it because Phil's the one who's going to be inputting these into the Google Doc.
There you go.
You want me to wrap it up? I think we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So if you want to participate in our boot list game, comment on this video with all the instructions that we gave about an hour and a half ago and the instructions we just gave in the past 30 seconds. Please comment on this video. We'll share it a couple times so that you guys, you're reminded to see it. We got like over 200 contestants last time.
Yeah, we had a lot last year.
We got a ton. So I'm really excited. Like, I hope that this keeps growing. I hope people keep doing it. You will be able to do this until midnight on February 25th. It's the Sunday leading into the premiere. Anything posted after that, we will not take. So yeah, in the meantime, we'll share this like every couple days so that you guys can see it. Next week, likely weekend, maybe not Sunday if it's cool with you, Phil. We'll talk about it. Next weekend, we're going to be doing our prop pick game, which is the other fantasy game that you guys are able to participate in. So we'll go through the rules and go through on that. So we'll be live next week with that. In the meantime, we are dangerously close to 3,000 YouTube subscribers. We have about like 16 left to get to 3,000. So please subscribe to us. Share us, rate us 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to us on iTunes. Like us on Facebook, Survivor Specialists. Follow us on Twitter. We're getting a lot of Twitter love recently, and it's been super cool. So please keep sharing, keep spreading the word. We really appreciate it. And we're super pumped for this season. So we'll see you guys next weit with our prop it game.
Yup.
Bye.